discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial membership. All you need to do is go to audibletrial.com/bgunlocked. The link is in the description below, and now enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brian and I are doing our top 10 pet peeves of board gaming. I'm assuming you did board, you didn't just do in general, right?
Oh no, it's just board game.
Yeah. We're just like talking about things that have no relation to this channel at all. Yeah, we're the Chiefs.
Like the Chiefs.
So yeah, it's like we initially were gonna do things publishers need to stop doing.
Right.
But as I was making more lists, I was like, you know what? let's just do things that piss us off in the board gaming hobby in general. And the way I basically made my list was in order of how much they frustrate me.
Yep.
Yeah, so
that's what I did.
like from 11, it's like, oh, okay, well I'll live with it, and then up to number 1. Which ironically, we actually were talking about doing this before the Dice Tower just put up their enemies of gaming. Which is kind of similar
I haven't watched that one yet.
It was really good. They had Rodney Smith with them, and it was really good. But so I didn't really order mine in any way of like, okay, here's publishers and now here's with people. No. So it's just how mad I get. And at the time of this recording, it is 9:45 in the morning. So what a great way to start our day by just being angry. Yeah, you want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so my number... Oh, you did do an honorable mention, right? Yeah. Or a dishonorable mention, I guess.
Yes.
My honorable mention is one that I understand is more relevant to other types of people. But me being a straight white male, I'm not affected by it in any way. But I wanted to bring it up on the list because I understand it's a pet peeve to a lot of other people, but it's the lack of diversity or representation in board gaming. I definitely wanted to talk about at least that it is an issue because I'm represented in every game. So I've never once been able to be like, oh, I want to be this kind of character because I can always be. There's always going to be a white male in a game. But for others, it's not going to be as easy. And if it is, it's usually a shock that it's even exists. Like, for example, we just played the second edition of Atlantis Rising. And one of the characters you can play is actually in a wheelchair. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because normally that's not in any game. So it's not my really personal pet peeve just because I'm never affected by it, but I did want to bring it up as an honorable mention at least to talk about that it is an issue, but I foresee it being addressed more and more. Unless it's fantasy, then it's like, well, I mean, like no one's represented by an orc.
Well, and I think the one, I think I have the name right, One Deck Dungeon. Mm-hmm. I think every character in that is female.
Oh, really?
Every character is a female character.
Wow. Okay.
They just chose to
do it like that.
Female, and it's not like they're all tits and ass and stuff.
Right.
Like, it's not like they're just women. Because,
yeah, they're just like huge, like sexy women.
I mean, they're just normal. Yeah. Different races and different. Stuff. So that was kind of a neat.
That was pretty cool, and I think it's going to be a more conscious thing whenever it comes to designers. Now, this is kind of where we're going to leave it because we can go on this huge tangent of that it shouldn't matter or whatever. Right. But yeah, anyway, so that's my number 11: lack of diversity and representation.
My number 11 is a really tedious type thing, but it's paper money.
Oh, that's a good one.
I despise paper money. Anytime I have a game that has paper money, it gets replaced. Yeah. And I know, well, Tom Bassel hates paper money. Mm-hmm. That's a thing you hear all the time with him. Like Power Grid is probably the biggest one for me. And I had a friend get on Game Crafter, and he printed off a deck of playing cards that was Power Grid emblems with money on it, and stuff, and that's what we used for the money and everything. But it's so, because it sticks together.
Yeah, it crumples like after the first play.
Pain in the ass, and then trying to make change. It just makes me think of like playing Monopoly when I was a kid, or Life or whatever, and you're sitting there like pulling all these stupid like bills, and they'll
Yeah, it's just they're so cheap. That's a good one because it's like it almost, even if the game's amazing, let's say every other thing component quality is like outstanding, if it's you're like, this is cheap. You just like think that the game is just shit after you see Paper Money. Now, the only game I've ever seen do Paper Money right is Millennium Blades, because what you do is you basically band it together with it was annoying to do, but with a sticker. So it's paper money, but it feels like a wad of cash, like with like a money clip on it. And so it's easy to grab a stack. You're not trying to be like, okay, here's one piece. Oh, no, wait, that's actually two. Right. And so that's the only game I've ever seen do paper money where it's not completely horrible.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's my 11. I mean, it doesn't kill a game, obviously. That's why it's my number 11. It's just annoying within a game. So.
All right, awesome. So my number 10 is more on publishers in this regard, and it's definitely prevalent in a lot of Kickstarter games, and I just called this one Bloated Games. So essentially, games that whenever they're being made, especially when they're Kickstarted, they just put stuff in it. And the biggest example I can give is the Joan of Arc, Time of Legends, the Joan of Arc game, where literally it stacks as high as a Calyx shelf, a 4x4 Calyx shelf.
The Mythic Battle.
Yeah. Yep. And that one, and I'm like, this is so absolutely unnecessary to make a game, because that's just it's just, and I'm all for more content, but what makes it frustrating, let me just double check, I'm not talking about it later, is that whenever they're making the game, it all comes at once. So people never even touch half the stuff, because it's like, this is so overwhelming. It's different if they were like, oh, by the way, here's the base game, and then a year later, here's an expansion, and just keep doing that, keep breathing life into it. But the fact that with Kickstarters mainly, it's like, oh, here's another 3 cards, here's another expansion, here's another mini, and then one with Bloated Games, then you have the fear of missing out, because you're like, oh my god, I have to have everything. Right. What if I don't have that one fucking card? And it's like, and this isn't even if the game's good or not. If it's bad, then this is frustrating. Even if it's good, it's just like, it's almost overwhelming at this point.
Well, and I think some companies have picked up on that, and they started. That's why you get a lot of these companies that are doing waves now, like how Awakened Realms does with Tainted Grail and stuff like that. They send out the core game and stuff, maybe one of the expansions first, and then you have a wave 2. So that you're not getting a huge stack, they're letting you play that stuff and go through it, and then you get the next stuff. That's kind of a good idea.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that's why they were doing it.
I don't know if it's why. It's just I think
it might just be
ended up being a way that actually fixes the issue that you have.
And if they want to do that, then that's fine, because you're right. I just assumed it was more of a because you can. I guess you can opt to have split shipping,
right?
Or you can wait for everything. I usually do split shipping because I'm like, well, I want the game like sooner. Like all the extra stuff, like Black Rose Wars, for example, it's like, I want all that extra stuff because I love the game, but I like getting, it's just, and then like if the game's bad, then it's like, just because it's just so much where it's like, you didn't even really have an idea. Like here, you just have stuff that it's not even coherent. So that's just more obnoxious and really prevalent with, I don't see any type of publisher who's still making their own games do this. Like they're just not. So that's my number 10, Bloated Games.
My number 10 probably would be higher on my list normally, but sometimes I suffer from this as well, and that is AP, analysis paralysis in at the table with other players. I can picture one guy in particular that just it takes freaking forever every time we play a game and it's his turn. Doesn't matter if it's the first turn of the game, if it's the middle, and then God forbid you're playing a game like, let's say, I don't know, Orleans or something like that, and it's the very last turn of the game, and he's trying. Okay, I get get 6 points if I do that. Then he maths it out, and I can do 8 points if I do that. You know, all this stuff. He goes through every damn move.
Sits there, and he even tries to calculate how much points you have. Yeah, it's like, dude, like, I feel like people like that, it's more of them, they want to win more than they want to play. Mm-hmm. And it's like, dude, does it really matter, like, that much? Yeah. Like, I feel like I don't suffer from AP as much, because normally I'm just like, if I want to think about my turn, there's other people's turns for me to so I can think about mine. Right. So then it's like, okay. Like, sometimes I'll get caught up and I'm like, okay, so... Right. But most of the time I'm like, all right, like, this is just what I'm going to do. It sounds like, off, blanket, it's just, this sounds the better option, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, AP, that's a rough one. Not on my list, actually.
Yeah, and like I said, it's 10, just because... I mean,
because you're a hypocrite.
Well, not, I mean,
it
just depends. Well, I mean, there's some games that it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, 5 tribes, it's going to happen because you can't plan ahead, mm-hmm. And stuff like that. But what really pisses me off is all the solo games I play in AP.
And yeah, you're mad at yourself. You're like, God, I'm so stupid. It's like, do you think we'll have any crossover? I meant to ask that earlier. We might have like some theming crossover, but not like specific.
I don't know. I could maybe. I'll just say 2.
Yeah, that sounds probably more realistic. So my number 9 is also. I mean, it happens to do with publishers more than anything, and it's what I call bandwagon games. So people who are basically focusing on what's the new hotness of what's coming out, and this past year was Roll and Rights. Oh, nice. And the year before that it was like dice drafting, and then like the year before that it was whatever superhero games. Actually, it might have been like one of the same years, but basically publishers who are just trying to figure out what people are wanting, and then just paying some random designer that I kind of have this idea of a whatever it is, and they're like, whatever, just make it. Mm-hmm. And with no concern for if they're going to be innovative, if it's even going to be good, streamlined, whatever. Right. They just want to make it so people will buy it because it's like, ooh, it's this new, dice drafting game. It's this new hand management game that's hot right now. So then you just get influx, so where no one wants to play them, like. With how many Roll and Rights came out, I've played a few, and they're not horrible. Like, I played the Imperial Settlers one. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to exist, but it's there.
I like the solo version of that one.
Yes, for sure. It was actually, because you actually got different buildings to build. Yeah, it was really good solo. But for the most part, it's like, well, wow, another one of those.
Well, and they're still popping. Like, they're still... Yeah. And that's what happened. Remember, a handful of years ago, probably maybe 5 years ago, was the whole micro games.
Yeah, you're right.
Because Love Letter came out, 16-card deck, that was it. And then all of a sudden, just bam, like TMG had like all those Kickstarters, like $3 you can get this this micro game. $3 you get this micro game.
Are you guys okay? Like, are you going bankrupt because you're just putting out
but that micro garbage game stuff's kind of...
It's faded out, and that's usually what it does. Is like, of course, there's always going to be the new hotness, and like now most people are. I'd like to say most people are being more picky in what they're getting, so we're not just getting trash, especially because every time a new Kickstarter comes up, I always see comments where it's like, well, here's the issues with it, or it's like, I mean, like the Divinity Original Sin board game that went on Kickstarter, and I was like, oh, that's going to be awesome. One, it was weird in how it was laid out, like it wasn't like a dungeon crawl or anything that you'd expect it to be, maybe like a Gloomhaven kind of thing. It was really weird in how it was laid out, but also, it was fucking expensive. Like, I pay a lot of money for games. Like, I'll jump in and be like, $200? Okay, whatever. But that one, I was like, $300 for that? Like, because you were paying for the name. And so people are being more selective. And so whenever it's like, wow, this doesn't do anything different for the hobby or the genre, I'm out. And so I'm hoping that bandwagon, I mean, it's never going to go away because people are going to be like, ooh, another one. But it's frustrating, because most of the time the games aren't even fucking good. So, that's my number 9. Yep. Bandwagon games.
My number 9 is a publisher thing, too. And the best way to name it is large boxes for small amount of game.
Oh.
I mean, that's what I put. It's like, so a lot of these companies, and I don't know, it's still kind of a thing, but you get these big boxes, like the Ticket to Ride size box and stuff like that, and all there is like 3 wrapped decks of cards, and then maybe 1 sheet of stuff. So then once you have it all, you have this, it'll all fit in like, a quarter of the huge box. And they do that for shelf presence and stuff like that. But it's, when you're limited in space like I am currently, it's annoying because
that's true.
And then those boxes don't have any support, so then
they cave in,
caving and all that stuff and everything. It's like
true.
It's just it's annoying because it has a bigger box like that, I think it makes the MSRP higher because they charge,
they charge more for like.
I don't know that for a fact. I'm just sitting thinking that it's a big box game like that, but if they sold it and it was in a smaller box, they really asking $50 for a little thing like that.
That's
people
true.
Wouldn't buy it as
People
much as they would, because it kind of fools people that don't know, And nowadays, if you're smart when you buy, you're gonna watch an unboxing, you're gonna watch stuff like that and know.
But you're gonna watch Board Games Unlocked and
right, exactly,
and then hear me complain about that. Although I'd rather have that than the latter, where it's a small box for a lot of the content, where it's like Orleans, where it's like wow, nothing.
Yeah, and that would be the opposite of that. It's so I guess just the box sizing.
I totally thought that was gonna. Yeah, because that is an absolute pet peeve. Is basically games where, like, just like box size, like incorrect box size would basically, because it's like one way or the other. If it's too big for various reasons like that, it's like, well, that's annoying. And you hope that they did that in plans for expansions, but sometimes they don't. And then the inverse is like, okay, so basically what they did was they have. Whatever, they have nothing in the box, they just have 10 reams of cardboard, and then it's like, okay, so none of this fits back in there, and I hate unless it's with like a broken token insert box lift or lid lift or whatever, where it's just like it looks like trash. That's a good one. My number 8 could realistically be higher on my list, but I think that with Kickstarter and just general awareness, it's not as much of a problem anymore. You'll still get your outliers, but it's game quality. So there's nothing more frustrating than especially paying a lot of money for a game and the quality of everything is just trash. Some good examples of good game quality is like Wingspan and Tapestry. It's like the cards feel great, the boards are great, it has like that grainy kind of rough feel, which I really like. But whenever you are buying a game, especially because games aren't getting any cheaper, like they're only going to be going up, that if like okay, a good example for me would be like, especially with miniatures, like now you have such a high quality for miniatures, that almost anything less, it's like, well, I'd rather have standees. And the perfect example that comes to mind right now is Folklore. Like, I think the Folklore minis, while the best thing about them is the fact that they say what they are at the bottom, that no one else has done, they're pretty cheap. Like, you get them and they're all warped and weird, and even though you can fix it with hot water or boiling water and then ice water, the fact that you have to do that, it's just like, man, like, I'll just take the standees. Because I actually don't mind standees. In fact, sometimes I prefer them just because they have the colored artwork on it. And sometimes the minis just look... It's like, is this what that is? Like, I can't even really tell. And then you also have, like, crappy cards that warp. When the initial Champions of Midgard had that problem. Where it's like, okay, let's play the game. And you see the cards start to bow from the moisture in the air. And it's like, oh, God, these are horrible. Black bordered cards where it's like, okay, well, first time playing, and they already look like I've had them for 15 years. So paper money would actually, I think, be fall into this category where it's like, look, just put some some cardboard. I'll take cardboard coins, or I'll have a pile of coins before I'll have your paper money. Granted, like you said, there's ways around it. There's really ways to upgrade anything with 3D printing. That's becoming more popular, which I might actually end up getting one.
I was thinking about buying.
Like, they're not like super expensive, and you can do a lot of cool stuff. But anyway, you could fix that, but you shouldn't have to. It's like, I'm the consumer, not the fucking company. I'm not the one that just got $6 million on Kickstarter. Make your fucking game good. So that's. I mean, I can go on and on about things that are just make games like really trashy, but I mean, one that's not even, and I'm going to. So ones that's not even really brought up. Have you ever bought a box, like a game, and the box was actually like thin and cheap, where it was like Level 7 Omega Protocol had like a thin box lid.
I'm sure, yeah.
And it's like, this is weird. Like, it's like you didn't even put anything on it, and it's already like warping and seeping in. That was one that I just happened to, because I looked over at those games. I'm sure those are all fine, but I'm like, huh. Because like, that's the thing. That's what makes a lot of games cool, is the box itself. And that's what's going to, oh, hey, what's this one about? But whenever it's like, oh, it's this piece of shit, thin, torn box.
Or some of them that still have the pop top box deal.
I have no idea.
You know, like the sometimes expansions come where you like pull the. I don't know if you have any over there or not, but
like, I guess Hero Realms, is that what you're talking about with like the big box?
Well, no, it's just like the box. Like a lot of times, like the LCG expansions that maybe your Arkham Horror that you have. A deluxe expansion type thing has those boxes where you have to pop the.
I see what you're saying.
Open the lid and dump the stuff out.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Now I know what you're talking about. I was like, I thought you were talking about like the magnetic clasp ones. No. I'm like, those are fine. Those are. Yes, those were. Yeah, you're like.
But they don't do those much anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do have one. It's the Where is it? It's somewhere over there. Oh, the Empires of the North Roman. Where it's just like, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just pour this stuff out and then throw this away because I can't store it. Exceed did that, and it's like, but that was the game. Like an expansion, that's fine.
Right,
like I don't plan on keeping it. But the where it's the actual game, it's like, how do I store this again? Like, this is so bad. Like, I don't know what level 99 was thinking with Exceed, but it's like, and the fact they also made, this is also, we're still on shitty game quality. Like, it sounds good in theory. They had the special attack cards in Exceed were foiled. And it's like, that sounds cool. But the problem is foiled cards bend. Mm-hmm. And so you had your deck and it was this big because you could see like the bowed card. So I tried to sleeve it. That didn't work. I tried to bend them back. There's nothing you can do. So it's like I just have this weird lopsided deck. Horrible game quality is my number 8.
All right. Phone fell asleep. My number 8.
My phone fell asleep because you just wouldn't let it go.
My number 8 is something that happens during games.
Okay.
And that is people messing with their phones during a game.
Okay.
So like if you're playing Dinosaur Island, let's say, for example, where everybody's doing simultaneous, and they're sitting there on their phone, and everybody starts doing their actions, and then everybody gets done, and you have to wait on that asshole because he was on his phone.
Yep.
And stuff. It's just, and it's just annoying.
It's inconsiderate.
Right.
It's like, okay, so clearly you'd rather be doing something else.
Right.
And like, especially if they're texting someone, it's just like, and I try not to be a stickler. It's funny that you bring that up. Because, clearly everyone has phones, and the only time that bothers me so much is when clearly I'm recording. It's like, that's just distracting for everyone. I'm trying to get, keep the game flowing. But it's like a quick text or whatever, but it's like, look, clearly there's something you'd rather be doing. Like, go do that. Like, I don't need you, in my house. Like, if you're not even gonna want to even attempt. Like, quickly being like, after okay, here's my turn. I'm done. Okay, your turn. Boom, respond.
Right. If there is nothing that you need to be paying to, if it's a type of game where you're gonna take your turn and it's gonna be 4 or 5 minutes before it comes around, I can see doing something really quick.
Right.
But in a game where it moves pretty quick, or there's simultaneous actions,
that's true.
Or just anything, you need to be paying attention to that, and it's It's annoying.
Right.
I get it on my daughters all the time for it. So.
Oh, you're that. Okay, boomer. Jeez. Fucking get over it. Everyone has phones. All right.
They don't sit there taking Snapchat selfies.
Oh.
You know, and all that stuff when I played.
Well, so what do you think about people who, like, because Chad does his Instagram and I do mine.
Well, no, and that's fine. Because
Okay.
you're taking a picture. I mean, because, again, you know, it's something, you know, that doesn't bug me because I've done that with our Shadows of Brimstone quite a bit.
Yeah.
Whenever we do that stuff, is just kind of take a picture of the instance. But that's a game where it's co-op. It's
right.
before the battle starts or,
True.
or after the battle ended or
Yeah.
whatever. You know?
Okay.
It's just the instance of just be considerate if you're going to do it, I guess. Would be
Sure.
would be
Sure.
the
Which,
thing.
I mean, I could make a top 10 on just
Right.
inconsiderate people. Which comes up to my number 7, which is actually about people and the gamers in general. And this is kind of what I've deemed as, like, serious gamers. Like, people who are so absorbed into the hobby that, like, nothing can be fun. Like, I attribute kind of this with... like, I was going to put food at the table, but that's not a pet peeve because I don't allow that.
Yeah.
Like, so it doesn't affect me. I know I put the lack of diversity as number 11, even though it didn't affect me, but that seems like a more prevalent topic to actually bring in versus food. Like, so, if we do eat, like, we're leaving the game,
Right.
and then everyone's, you know, wiping their hands up, but there's never snacks, there's never nothing, just because, but people who are like, water? No, get that off. It's like, look, okay, like, there's cup holders for a reason. Like,
Right.
or it has a lid. Like, just, like, lids on. But people who are, like a good example is I used to have a DM for D&D where it's like the whole RPG is social. So we're all hanging out. And I'd be making jokes, like, with a friend of mine, and we're cracking up. And then he's like, do you say that in character? And I'm like, no, why would I say that? Or, like, they'll act as if I did, and they're like, oh, well, the guard's now. It's like, dude, I didn't say that. Like, fucking calm down. Like, we're trying to have a good time and make jokes, but, like, when people, it's like, if, like, you and Kat are, like, talking and making jokes, and I'm like, it's your turn.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't want to play with you, because you're kind of just this weird ass, or like the game has to be organized a certain way. If you're like, it's like, no, you can't do that, like, with my pieces. And, like, I get it comes down to there's a certain level where it crosses that line, like, people, because some people don't understand that games are expensive. They see it as, oh, you got this for $10. It's like, I wish I did, but, like, I remember watching a tabletop episode one time with Seth Green's wife, and they were playing X-Wing, and she was like, woo, and, like, tossed it up in the air. It's like, okay, so you're just a huge cunt. So, like, that would piss me off. But it's like, people who, like, can't let any leeway, like, can't, like, it's just, like, very, like, they almost have a meltdown.
They're super anal.
Yeah, anal gamers, where it's like, dude, I don't want to come back. Like, I understand that we're trying to play a game and you want to keep it going, but especially, like, I'm probably more anal when we're recording, because I'm trying to keep downtime, you know, at a minimum, you know, dead space at a minimum. But if you're just trying to, like, on a game night, just, like, it's like, calm down. So, that's my number 7. Serious gamers.
My number...
I feel it coming! I feel it!
My number 7 is... it's a player thing, and it's quarterbacking during co-op games. The quarterback.
I couldn't put it on my list because I do it.
I know. I mean,
I know. This is actually about you. This is an intervention. Kat comes in. We need to talk.
It's not everybody. I think does it a little, but there's, like, the ones that's, like, really, like, aggressive. If we don't do this, we will. You know. Or, you know, and stuff like that, and it's just. Because I have to watch myself doing it when I'm playing something with a co-op game with Amy and the girls. Yeah. Especially early on. You know, we'd play Castle Panic or something, you know, and I'd be like, you know, attack that one, do that. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, shut up. Yeah, let them do their own stuff. Right.
It's, I mean, it's so hard because I'm of the mindset with a cooperative game. This is on my list, by the way, because I'm like, this is pet peeves of other things, not me. But if it's a cooperative game, like the way I view quarterbacking is someone who's like, it's like you need to do this, do this. When I don't do that in a cooperative game, for me, it's like we're working together. All I'm doing is throwing out suggestions of what you can do. So I try to preface it like if Kat's doing something, and I'm like before she even goes to do anything, I'm like, oh, well, here's what you can do, or you can do this. I'm just throwing out options, and then I'm like, but you can do whatever you want. Like I'll
right,
make
that's
sure
what I do, and that's not.
So it's like okay, but I don't do that. Never mind. So my number
in my mind, that's not quarterbacking. That's
I view it as
tossing out
suggestions.
I mean, co-op game. You're supposed to work together.
Sure, but a lot of people are like,
but it's not like
when they mention quarterbacking, they're like, no, you can't even say anything. Let the person fucking play. It's like, then why are we here? Why would we not work together and be like, oh, here's some options that you could do on your turn?
Especially when you're playing with fairly new gamers and stuff that may not know, or if you're the experienced person with the game, be like, you can do this. Yeah. You decide what you want to do.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it's those ones that like, like if I jumped in a game at Origins this last year, and it's just one guy just jumped in and just was like taking over. And it's just, or the better example would be, and it's an interactive board game, I guess you say, it's a true dungeon, kind of thing. I don't know if you've ever done that. We did that at Origins this last year. We went in with a group of.
Is that where you just get like? Is that an RPG kind of thing?
Yeah, you go in and you go into a room and there's like, you're led by a guide, and then like when a monster shows up, there's like this a board that comes out that has hit zones, and you have a puck. And you slide it and try to make it land in different zones.
Oh, okay.
It's a really neat thing.
All right.
But when you go in, me and 3 other guys went in, and we went in, there was this group of 4 guys that I think that's the only thing they did the entire 4 days of Origins. And I mean, they had like leather wristbands with their poker chips attached to it and everything, and they went in and they just took over and played it, and we're just like, okay, we each paid $54.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs.
Right.
Because like we're level 1 and they're like level
10,
God knows what. So we're like rolling, oh, I did 2 damage. And they roll, it's like 150 damage. Yeah. He's dead. And I was like, well, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's like, it comes to the inconsideration.
Or they're telling you they know exactly where the stuff is.
It's like,
oh, that candle's the trick.
Oh.
It's like, well, why the fuck are you going to tell us that? Or,
it's like, yeah, thanks for ruining it for literally everyone else. It's like, I'm sorry that we have friends and like we're not some sad true dungeon people. Like, and it's so frustrating.
Well, because the guys I went in, it was the owner and the guys of Everything Epic Games.
Yeah.
Chris and those guys. And that's who we went in with, and he's a pretty boisterous guy anyway.
Sure.
And when they were doing that, he was just cracking my shit up.
Well, because it's like, look, those guys are basically the Chads of board gaming. They're just like high-fiving, like drinking Monster Energy, punching drywall. And it's like, look, we're like, do you not see that? Do you realize that no one's interested in anything you're doing? You have a band of, it's like...
So it's pretty much, I mean, again, you're
in
that back to quarterback. Taking over a game for a cooperative deal.
Sure.
Or tell people what to do. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, I think that would also kind of tie into the serious gamers, the people that are like, they're so engrossed. And I'm a competitive person by nature. I was way worse when I was younger. But like, my point is like, there are some people who don't care about that. They're just like, I'm just here for the experience. It's whatever. I don't plan on winning. Which I think is an issue in and of itself. But like, it's like the whole point of a game is the objective to win. And it's like, if no one's gonna try, then what are we doing? Let's just fucking put this up and let's go outside and just try at life and just suck. So it's like let's work together. So people because there are times, and actually, the best way against quarterbacking. Here's a little tidbit, because I tend to kind of be like, okay, well, here's options that you can do. Is just speak out against them, like literally. And I know people are like very like introverted or very not passive people, but like all you have to say is like, hey, you should do this. Be like, let me do my turn. And then most of the time, because most gamers aren't confrontational just by nature, that if you speak out against them, be like, let me do my turn, then they're going to shut up.
Right.
Because especially in a public setting, they're not going to want to be that guy that's like embarrassing. And if they are, I would have no problem in being like, I think you need, and who's running the booth, I think those guys should be like, you need to leave.
Yeah.
It's like you're ruining the experience for other people. And if they throw a fit, who fucking cares? You got their money.
Yeah.
Exactly. You already paid. They came to Gen Con. What are they going to do? Like, one guy is not going to make a difference if, Plaid Hat, tells some guy to leave because he's ruining it for the 4 other people at the table. It's like, just be like, look, you're ruining it. Or, hey, you need to shut the fuck up.
Right.
I would buy every game from any company who told a guy at a convention to shut the fuck up.
You heard that here.
Yeah, like
Fantasy Flight.
King Simon. Oh, I don't want to buy your games. Anyway, that was a good one. My number 6 comes back on the publisher, and I think this is more of a problem, actually, for a lot of people, especially new gamers, and it is incorrect box info. Is how I've labeled it. So basically, there's information on the box that comes into play a lot, especially when buying games, when backing games on Kickstarter, and even when playing games. So the info on it is number of players, how long it takes, and the age. I think that's the 3.
All 3 of those get screwed up.
And all of them are always fucked up. And I try to bring it out when I'm doing the discussion on games if it's correct, because I'm like we'll actually look at it and be like we did this for Tapestry the other day. We were like, it's like, oh yeah, it says 90 to 120 minutes. Yeah, it's really on, and they do it to sell. That's it. Just like what you mentioned about the box size. It's like, oh, it plays 2 to 5. No, it does not. It plays 3 or 4, and best at 4. And there are websites to go on Board Game. Not websites. There is a website to go on Board Game Geek, and I've been using this a lot lately. When I'll look at a game after we're playing, and I'm like, I hated this, and then I'll look at it and be like, oh, it says best with 5 or best with 4, and I played it at 3, and I'm like, that makes sense. So whenever your game, so we'll categorize. So whenever the number of players. Just put, if you're that worried, then actually make a good 2-player variant, or 3, or whatever. Atlantis Rising, this is just games I've played recently. It plays up to 7, which I was like, oh, that's a lot. I have not seen a cooperative game play up to 7 in a long time. But the introductory game, when you're setting up, said 4 to 7. And I was like, oh, well, that's weird. I only have 3 people. The variant, it was very minor. But, because it's cooperative, it was like, okay, well, everyone draws a misfortune card. The first player just draws a second one afterwards. Okay, easy enough. But whenever you're just using, literally just, feasting on the populace because most people only have another person to play, or maybe 2 friends, and you're like, yep, it plays 2 to 5 or 2 to 4, but it's really shitty at 2. That's just inconsiderate marketing, and you're trying to just sell as many copies of your most likely garbage game anyway. Now, granted, there are games that you just have to be aware of that it's like Seven Wonders, for example, plays 2 to 7, and it's like they do have a 2-player variant that most people don't like. I don't think it's horrible. I would never play it at 2 unless I really had to, but it's not terrible. They put in at least some effort. Some people actually prefer it at 2. But so that's one bad fucking. But then the timing, that's another huge factor. Whenever you're like, oh man, it says 30 minutes, and then what they really mean is 30 minutes per player, but they don't say that. So then you're sitting there for 2.5 hours, and I'm a huge stickler, and I hate when games go longer than they need to. And you're like, wow, this game was a whole lot of nothing, and we sat here for 2-3 hours, but the box says 60 minutes, so I don't know what the fuck they were talking about. In fact, Through the Ages over there says 2 to 4, which I hear it's better than 2, and 120 minutes. 120 minutes at 2 players.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a 3 or 4 hour game.
It is very much. At a 4-player game, it's probably around at least 4 to 6 if everyone's really good at it. So what companies need to start doing is being like it takes up no box space on the edge. Either do break it up and because I know it's an average, it's a rough sum of but so if you're new, you have to take that into consideration. But it's do per player. Hey, 20 minutes per player. And it's oh, okay, that makes sense. Or do it where it's okay, at 2 players, it takes this long. 3 players, this long. 4 players, this long. Mm-hmm. You would do a justice for so many people when they're buying games. Because it's I only have 3 people. So, yeah, incorrect box info. What else was the other one? It was age. That one I don't really have a whole lot of stock in because people are more advanced at you have smarter kids. So and I don't have kids, so it's not like I'm sitting here being like, oh, this one says it's for 8, and then like, oh, you couldn't do it.
Well, it's like one of those things when I used to work retail. You would do something similar to get sales. You'd be selling this item for $3. It's a $3 item. But it would sell more if you put a sign up that said 2 for $6.
Yeah.
You're getting the same deal, but people buy it because they think they're getting a deal.
That's actually a good point because there was a CEO of JCPenney. When he took over, he got rid of coupons, but he marked everything down as if they were with a coupon price. They almost went bankrupt for it. Then, he got fired. So then they brought another who brought him back. But it's stupid because it's like, hey, you can get this pair of jeans for $10. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that. Then it's like, okay, well, here's a $10 off coupon. Now they're up to $20. Oh, hell yeah! It's like, okay, but, the average consumer is the dumbest. Like, any retail customer is like the dumbest person on the planet. So that's my number 6, incorrect box info.
All right, my number 6 deals with, again, publishers. And I store my games horizontally on top of each other.
Okay, so you do the same thing. You do what I do.
Right. Okay. My number 6 is tins.
Tins, okay.
And not a ton of people do it anymore, but Stronghold Games was the one of the worst ones at the time. On Game Right also, because we had Forbidden Desert and Forbidden Islands, and stuff like that. But game tins are just annoying as hell because they always have the little bit of 3D effect molding on top, and they can get damaged.
They have to have that lip at the bottom.
Yeah, they slide on each other. You can't you can't stack them that way.
Yeah,
you can't stack them on each other because they just don't fit and everything. And it's like, and I sit there and I'm wondering like, well, why was that? I mean, surely that wasn't cheaper to do metal. You would think it would be more expensive to do metal than cardboard. So I don't know if they were doing it just because they could.
Right.
But like all those games, the card, what do they call those? Not card line, timeline games.
Oh yeah.
And stuff. They're all tins. It's just like, why?
That's a good point.
Sushi Go. A lot of these were all tins and stuff.
Because they probably think it's more durable.
They're not. They get
dented in.
Every one of mine has a dent in it.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess they don't chip as much. Like you don't get. I guess you wouldn't get shelfware from a tin box versus. I mean, because there's games I have that just have. It's like I don't remember dropping that. Why does it look like that?
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, it's not a deal breaker for me. Like if the game's coming in a tin, but like whenever Forbidden Sky came out, I was like, oh, thank God. Like, because Forbidden Islands or Forbidden Desert's so annoying because it has to be on top of everything. Or even if you don't, like that's the thing is like because of that lip at the bottom, it starts to dig into the other games that it's sitting on.
And so, I mean, at one point before my collection really started blowing up, I had a lot of those games kind of stacked on top of each other, but then they would slide off and stuff. So I had them like right here and leaning up against the back wall, and it was just like, this is just stupid,
Oh God, I hate you.
Just.
I foresee that going away, like completely. Like
you'd think. I mean, like I said, it's not prevalent.
Can you imagine getting like a massive Kickstarter game and it gets handed to you in a tin, like some massive freaking like. Arcadia Quest boxes like in a
like
tin.
Metal Gear Solid, the Kickstarter's gonna come and it's gonna be all metal.
It's a metal box. I would laugh if they ship that. What they should do for that game is the whole box art should be a cardboard box. Yeah. Like whether the game that it gets shipped in is the box. Like that would be amazing.
That's kind of an annoying thing. Like you said, it's not a deal breaker per se, but it just is.
I would think twice though. Like if I saw it, I'd be like, oh man.
Yeah, it really has to be a good game for me to keep a game like that.
Yeah. All right, my number 5, you kind of touched on already. For the most part, you said whatever, some sentence long thing, but like I put distracted gamers, mainly for phones, for things like that. Like because that's usually in this day and age, like people are going to be on their phones, whether it's texting or I mean, God forbid, I don't think I've ever had anyone start watching a video. I'd probably stab them. You've had someone start watching a video like it's like
that. Well, and what it was we were playing the game that I was teaching. We were 2 or 3 rounds into the game, and instead of asking me the rule, he popped up a damn YouTube video trying to learn what to do, and I'm like, just ask me.
Yeah. It's like I have the rule book. Like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, so it comes down to that. Like, I actually pretty much, and it doesn't even have to be, like, they don't even have to physically be on it. We just had it happen with you. You shut your volume off, but people whose phones just keep dinging.
Yeah, I know.
And it's more annoying. Like, I understand that some people forget. My phone is always on vibrate.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what. And so I don't even know what my ringtone is. But it's more people who don't do that. Like, it goes off, and especially this is more annoying to me when I'm recording. So I have a little skewed mindset. But it's like, okay, it went off. So it's like, it takes 2 seconds to be like, boop. Because now there's a quick switch for most phones. It's like, boop, all right, here we go. And like a lot of times, like my friends, if they don't, they'll be like, oh, sorry about that, and then they'll change it. But sometimes I have a friend who doesn't, and it's just like, ding, ding, and it's like, dude, like, so now because now they're not 100% focused because they know that they have a message waiting for them. Mm-hmm. And so that's just incredibly annoying. Like, people never didn't watch a video, but I remember early on in my channel, like, I'd have a friend, he would just be on his phone, like, while I'm recording, and I'm like, so afterwards, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna take phones, I'm not gonna be that guy, but it's like, if you really cannot disconnect, like, while we're trying to be in a social hobby, then I'll find someone else, like, even with or without, like, recording or not, it's like, clearly, you don't want to be with us, you'd be with whoever person you're, or, like, and the worst part that gets me the most is if people are texting, during a casual whatever, like you said, okay, it's a 5-player game, turns take 2-3 minutes each, but whenever you're like, oh, it's my turn, what'd you do?
Yeah,
it's like, yes. Oh, okay, so
I let me tell you the future. I'll just smack you in the face.
And it's like, so whenever it's a game that requires you, like, just to be so fucking inconsiderate that it's like, oh, and then, like, because I'll be like, I don't know, figure it out. Like, clearly, like, you don't want to be here. So, yeah, just people like that. And, like, it's funny because now we have I mean, a relative age difference between us. It's like, you brought it up, and it's like, oh, wow, the old guy brought it. But, like, I'm saying it, too. Phones are fucking annoying, like, especially in a social hobby, really in anything. Like, I try not, if people are talking to me, like, at work, like, I'll like, move my phone and focus on people who are like, it's like, you're not listening, and then when because Kat will do it, and I'm like, what'd I say? And then she'll repeat exactly what I said back, and I'm like, put your phone away! It's even if you know what they said, right, you're still not 100% grasping. You're not going to quite remember. It's just, humans cannot multitask. The brain does not work that way, so just focus on one. If you cannot disconnect from your phone or to focus on whatever the task is at hand, cooperative or competitive, then don't show up. Like, don't waste everyone else's time. So that's my number 5, distracted gamers.
My number 5 is a player thing.
This is where it gets juicy.
Yeah, it's starting to get. Let's see here.
I'm start getting pissed off from.
Yeah, some of these will get pretty dicey. So this one, I really take pride in the how well I take care of my games.
Oh, okay.
You know, and stuff like that. So, and the components and stuff like that. But I have a friend, and I've went off on him before, that when you're playing a card game, and they sit there and they're bending the cards,
fiddly,
so like bending cards. That's
bending
the thing.
Cards. Okay,
because they're just bending them, doing all kinds of weird stuff with them instead of just. So weird. I don't care the shuffling and the
really okay. See that bothers me.
Yeah, see that doesn't bug me because I do it because being a competitive. That's where netrunner. I'm always like flipping through my cards and doing.
I have one friend. He's a competitive. He plays Magic, and like he'll just like
But it's just sitting there, you're like if the cards are down and you're just bending them up like this and doing something. Then he doesn't crease them, but it's still just
that's so weird.
Or it's like, or if he's holding it like this and he kind of takes the top and bottom, and just kind of does the whole deal like that, and I'm just stop, and it's just annoying,
so disgusting.
I put bending cards on this, but it could be any component really. If there's anything that a player has, like on a dashboard or something like that, and they're doing something that can damage the components.
Yeah.
Because I like my stuff to be pristine, nice.
Okay, so you're a serious gamer. My number 7.
Well, no, it's just like, but like when I don't generally let people borrow my games.
Sure.
I know you're going to take care of that's what when we've done that stuff. But I don't generally lend stuff out because
you're not going to get it back.
I want my stuff.
Yep.
To stay nice.
Right. I've lent a game to a friend, and he came back and the box corner was like completely ripped, and I'm like, you have to buy me a new one.
Right.
And he didn't make a whole lot of money, but I'm like, dude, the fact that I let you borrow it and you clearly couldn't, like, it's with anything. Like, hey, I let you borrow my lawnmower. Wow, it comes back and it's fucked up. Okay, replace it.
Right.
Like, that's interesting. Like, I almost thought about I would have called it like fiddly gamers, like.
Well, I am a fiddly gamer, and I don't think
sure, like, Kat hates it because, like, if it's metal coins, I'll, like, chink them.
And I do that,
and
too.
I'll mess with them, and she's like...
And or if I have, like the cardboard coins, like, I'll stack them 5 at a time,
right.
Or whatever. I'm always doing something with my...
With like, your pieces, and it's weird, because people like to be organized. Board games, usually, in general, are organized in some way, which is why I like the setup.
Right.
I'm just like, ooh, okay, this is gonna be all like I pull out a ruler. That's not true.
So, I label this as bending cards. I guess it could be better. done as.
I guess it's like taking care of
someone else's
components
and don't screw with it.
And most people are like, because they they think that you got this game for a couple bucks. It's like, no, I didn't. I got off Kickstarter. It's one of a kind, and it was $800. You fucker. I hate myself. Yeah, because I would have put, like, I have a friend, like, he'll like 2 cards, he'll just, like, flick them together, or he'll constantly shuffle, and I'm like, I don't have those sleeved yet.
Yeah.
But I've come to the point where if it's a lot of, like, if it's gonna be, if it's a card game smash up or things like that, where you're gonna be shuffling and fucking with cards a lot, I'll sleeve them. So then I don't care. Yeah. But the bending, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
I'd probably be like,
weird, like,
dude, leave. Like, clearly you have some mental disorder, like, that I don't want to be around.
He's a professor at Pitt State.
That makes sense. So my number 4 is, one that I'll be surprised if not on your list at some point, actually, and it's bad rulebooks. Like, so, like, stop making...
Portal.
Yeah, they're the biggest one.
But a lot of theirs is language.
It is a language barrier, but it's like, hire someone. Hire someone. If you have a language barrier, hire someone to make a different language.
I can be an English proofreader.
And a lot of them are doing that now. So like Portal's rulebooks actually, for Empires of the North is actually pretty good.
It is.
The Robinson Crusoe second edition is, so they got better. Their first Martian, no, what was it called?
First Martian.
Missions on the Red Planet? That's
First Martians.
First Martians?
Yeah. I think.
Whatever, I don't remember. There were so many Mars games that came out. Hey, bandwagon. That's a good one. Yeah, the Mars one. But it was incomprehensible. You couldn't figure out how to play without watching Rodney's 40-minute video, then follow along with it was just horrendous. Rulebooks in general are already not fun. That's a barrier even for me, where it's like, okay, God, I have to set it up, and then I have to read the rulebook, and like if I can't discern, like, and because what I'll do is I'll set the game up, and then whenever I'm reading it, I know what that piece is now. So now I have an idea of what I'm reading about. But there was even times in a rulebook lately where I didn't even know what to fucking do during the setup, and I'm like, this is already bad. Like, oh my God, because I'm in the setup. I'm not even trying to figure out how to play your game. It's always a barrier, and what a lot of companies can do that are good about it, like lots of pictures, lots of examples, very layman's. Like, you have to write a rule book almost as if you're adhering to the dumbest person on the planet for everyone to be able to get it. And to make them more fun, some people make them really thematic. Some people will make them funny. CGE has excellent rule books. They make yep. They make them really funny. So you're kind of it's kind of like reading almost like a storybook in a way, but you're also learning the game. So those are really good. But the bad ones, it's like Myth. They're actually coming out on Kickstarter for the rule book. Not even there's nothing else.
Is that like a hardback rule book?
Yeah, it's the rule, and I'm like. That is burn the game. Like, you're going on Kickstarter for a rule book, then you guys shouldn't have designed anything. So, I mean, just Sword and Sorcery, for example, was a 50-page rule book on a subpar dungeon crawl that no one's talking about anymore because it was not that great, and I called it whenever I played it. It's like, look, that's already going to be difficult. It's 50 pages of text. Not a whole lot of pictures, and this isn't Sword and Sorcery, but like that one's 50 pages, so that's already long. Just text, no examples, no pictures. I don't want to read that. Another bad rule book, because I'm talking about long ones. People who are trying to be clever and make small rule books, but don't explain shit, or it's all in like a player aid, or it's like, okay, so I read this 2-page rule book. I think I know how to play. Oh well, what about if this happens? I don't know, because it's on this. It's not in the 2-page.
I need to go to BGG and check the FAQ.
Yes, and I hate that. KDM does that, where it's like, well, in the FAQ it explains that you can't do this. It's like, I don't give a fuck what that says, because it's not in the rulebook, because they didn't think to actually include it. That shit bugs me so much. It's like, the rulebook is almost your end-all, be-all. And a lot of them is the golden rule, where it's like, if a card conflicts, you go with what the card says. Mm-hmm. Which it's like, okay, fair enough, you have a lot of abilities and stuff, so they're going to conflict, so just go with what the cards do. But it's like, with the rulebook being the end, it's like, if it doesn't say this, and it's not explicit, and the publisher hasn't come out and said anything, it's just, it's lazy. It makes me not even want to play your game. Like, if I can't figure out how to play from the rulebook, it's like, I'm already like, I don't even want to try at this point.
What I generally do with games, well, I just did with... like Marvel Champions, they had their newest FAQ came out.
Yeah.
So anytime a new FAQ comes out for a game I'm in, I print it.
Gotcha.
And I put it with my stuff. That way I have the updated
you have it with them.
Stuff just in case. But.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's just, it's like, and like I said, they're getting better.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
So,
well, a lot of places are using the QR codes to go to a video.
Yes, which is smart. So it's like you have people who actually do a really good job with how to play. So, and actually, some companies, Chip Theory for Cloudspire, they actually made YouTube videos on their faction. Hey, how to play as this faction? How to play as this faction? I thought that was pretty good because some games are a barrier to entry already without the rulebook. So, just put some fucking effort into it. So that's my number 4. Bad rulebooks.
My number 4 is going to be a hyphenated one.
Okay.
A little bit, because it's rage quitting / like...
What do you mean, Brad?
Well, no, because I've done it too.
Okay.
So I'm not just picking on present company.
I have rage quit 2 games in my 6 years of playing.
Rage quitting / tanking a game, like those that's my deals. You know, it's like, because and the tanking the game is the one, because I don't think I've ever
I've never tanked a
rage
game.
quit, but I've just given up and just did a move to finish up. I mean, just because
it was I've never tanked a game.
Tanking for me, what I'm using, like, would be like I was playing Game of Thrones, and I kept, like, everybody. It was a 4-player game. And all 3 just kept hammering me, and as I was just getting my forces back up, they'd knock me back down again.
Gotcha.
And they weren't attacking each other that much.
That's fun. Yeah.
And stuff. So I'm just like, fuck it. I just started throwing maneuvers out.
Yeah.
You know, and just doing nothing, pretty much. And so I guess maybe tanking, that may be the wrong term. I guess.
No, that's, I mean,
you know, whatever. But
yeah, but I mean, I know what you're saying. Like a tanking, I guess, would be. The best example I could think of
giving up and just
is because funny enough, we literally, Kat and I just talked about this yesterday with Tapestry, which I have up there. We were because the players dictate the speed, and so you can do an income turn and then just end it. And we were talking about people, if they're not having a good time, they can just do that and just quit. It's like, dude, just leave. Or be like, hey, can I quit playing?
Right, and that would fit into this.
Yeah.
Or if there's something and some player gets robbed of something, whatever, and then they just hypothetically flip the table and just leave.
Right.
Right. Or, stuff like that. That's it, because especially depending on the game,
it can derail like the whole thing. Yeah.
The game's over. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if it's a game where that character's, you can't just replace, stuff or whatever.
Yeah. I have rage quit 2 games. One was Roll Through the Ages, because it's like, wow, the plague again, and that's fun. And I was just like, there was no point, so it's like, fuck it, whoever's winning. And then the other one was the King's Dilemma, where I was just fucking furious at 2 of the other players that I'm like, I'm fucking done. Like, I was so mad. I'm like, you guys need to leave. Like, I was just so mad. That, to each their own. Some people are gonna be like, wow, you get that angry. It's like, okay, but you have this problem, so let's talk about that. Oh, no, we're not ready to do that. It's all about me. It's like, I understand that it's an issue, but it's like, if with tanking, there's a lot of things that go into that. Rage quitting, fine, I'll give you that one. Like, that's a thing on me and things on other people who rage quit. But the tanking, it's like, well, what led up to that? Wow, everyone ganged up on you for no reason in a competitive. It's like, okay, so that's fun for me, but you guys are having a blast. Oh, but if it was happening to you, like but if you'd be mad, but no, because it's not. Oh, yeah. It's the hypocrisy.
And it's not isn't on the list because of you, just so you know.
No, I know. We get mad at each other. Oh, really?
I just know, you hear the stuff on just people, the stories and stuff when you hear that, and it's just, it's, and it wouldn't be as big of a deal in it. Let's say, even if it was like co-op game or something that you could keep the game going. It's the games where it just totally,
or it's competitive and it's like, okay, well,
or if it's not, because even that time you did it was at the very end of the game. I mean, there was only one more round, and in those rounds take no time at all.
So I was like, my whole civilization is dead because I rolled the plague every fucking time. All right.
Yep, that's it.
It's a good one.
Yeah, these next ones get my blood boiling.
My number 3. And this is actually, unlike bad rule books where it's getting better, I really don't feel like this one's getting any better. This is with publishers, and it is, I actually have it written here, shitty inserts. You talked about this a little bit more with your small components in the big box. I'd flip it, and this is where companies just have absolutely no idea how to fit their shit back in the box. I mentioned it where it's like the Colonists, for example, there's no insert. It was just stacks of fucking cardboard. And so it's like they came with bags, but it's like, okay, so now I just have a box of just plastic bags.
Like Feast for Odin,
like Gloomhaven, all this. It's like you are making a game that has so much stuff in it that it's now overwhelming to set up because it's just shit in a box. You have no idea how much a broken token insert fixes a game. How much a good insert fixes a game, because it's like, wow, I just have to, okay, I put this out, and like, I don't have to sit there and be like, okay, let me dump all the bags out, and okay, here's this, and it's just so horrible. And that's not even talking about, those are just ones without inserts. U-Boot came that way, and they just shipped like that, so it's like, okay, well now half my shit is busted because you had no insert to even organize what was in the box. Inserts where, after you do organize everything, one, it's weird whenever it's like, you have like the deck where like the cards go in, but where you would go in only goes halfway. Have you ever had that where it's like here's, you know how they have the finger thing, but it only goes halfway, so you can't even get all. It's like, get down on, it's like, what moron was like, oh yeah, that works.
And then you have to try to tip the box, but then everything else falls out.
You have to like weirdly okay, so let me just fucking get the cards out. It's so infuriating. And then, let's say it even does, it's just like the ones that don't even have the finger thing, so you like have to like fucking like bend the cards to try and like get them out.
Well, and like the plastic molded inserts, that have the card. I'm trying to think of an example of this. I can't think of it. But and they have like the tray of card deals, and you put the cards in, but they have these little speed bumps.
Oh, the ridges
at the bottom. So then, and they're never
right.
So then you have a little card, like parts of your cards are sticking up every like half an inch or so.
KDM did that. I threw it away. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like, because the decks are this big, yeah. So it's like, okay, so you have like little speed bumps, but it's like for the deck, it's like, so yeah, you have speed bumps of your decks. And here's the one that bugs me out actually the most. Is companies, Sorcerer did this, which this is a good example, when they planned for fucking expansions. Companies that like game trays, where it's like, wow, everything's molded and everything's so nice and clear. We have an expansion. Oh, it doesn't fit in your game tray, so I have to throw that away. It's like, kill yourself. You are no use to society, because it's like Black Rose Wars, fantastic expansion. None of the extra stuff's gonna fit, so I had to throw it away. And people who are like, oh yeah, no, it fits sleeved cards. No, it doesn't. It's just, don't even make an insert. Like, it's like, I have to now throw this away because Clank and Space, 2 expansions. The cardboards don't fit in there, so now I have to throw a pretty good base game insert. Because there's no way that they're not thinking of expansions. Like, by the time the game's coming out, it's not like they're like, oh, hey, yeah, I forgot we made that game. Yeah, let's do an expansion. Like, there's no way they didn't do it. Yeah. So, whenever you have an expansion that comes in and it's like, okay, well, this was really good. I guess I'll throw it away now, because unless you're that guy that psychopath who keeps his expansion boxes and stores.
I used to.
Yeah, but then you got help, and then you just the only reason I ever have expansion is whenever the shit doesn't fit in the original box. I went out of my way to buy, I think it was like $100, some guy who was selling a deluxe Orleans copy, so I can fit everything back in the box. It's like, to be a company that's so greedy and so like, hey, we don't really give a fuck about who buys our games, to make a deluxe and then stop printing a deluxe. It's like, dude, just sell your game with the deluxe box. There's nothing else deluxe about it except the box. So it's just bad inserts. One of the worst ones was Assault of the Giants, which is the worst game I've ever played. Literally, it was that cheap. It wasn't even a good insert. It was a shitty insert, but it was that nasty ass plastic where it's just like, it's brittle and like it's already cracked by the time you even get the game. But it was only to hold their miniatures. Everything else, I was like, oh, so all the tokens and all the cards have nowhere to go. And I hate this game already. And then I played it and hated it even more. But it makes me so mad. It's not so much a barrier really for like rule books, where it's like, if it's a bad rule book, I won't play your game. But after the fact that I've played your game, it's like, man, I wouldn't have played Gloomhaven as much as I have if I didn't have that broken token insert. Like, and ooh, so talking about broken token in their inserts, what they did, which pisses me off, that Mansions of Madness crate, Fantasy Flight released a Path of the Serpents. It does not fit. Oh. So I have a Mansions of Madness expansion box that doesn't get. So they expansions
about grown the big box.
Their $150 crate, wooden crate. Cause, I have the Eldritch Horror one, and that's done. So it's like, why would they make a fucking Mansions crate without knowing for sure if Fantasy Flight was done? So I'm hoping, because most of the time what Broken Token will do is they'll release like with Scythe, whenever they release another an add-on that you just exchange. I'm hoping they figure out something with that crate, because it's like, listen here, you fuckers. I spent a lot of money on this crate. It was a pain in the ass to put together, and a month later, Fantasy Flight's like, oh, new expansion, and I'm like, it doesn't fit in there, and I'm so mad. I'm so mad about it. But thank God for companies like Broken Token and the other ones who I don't.
Go7 Gaming.
Yeah, Go7 Gaming. They do a really good job. Yeah. That kind of fixes this. But it's a third party who had to capitalize on poor publishers.
They were smart to do it because they make bank.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then Folded Space. Those are really nice too.
I don't think I have it. Oh, okay. I don't do foam core, but
no, but they're really good. Like,
are they?
Like I'd never messed with them before, but I got the Gentis Kickstarter from TMG, and it came. And one of the stretch goals was a folded space organizer.
Yeah,
that came with it, and it's foam core stuff, but it's already pre-cut. Mm-hmm. So you just pop it out and just super glue it down and everything, and it's so light, and like it adds no weight to the game at all.
I think,
and they're really sturdy.
Okay,
and I'm like, they're dirt cheap too. Like you can get, I think one for an Orleans big box or deluxe big box thing for like $13.
I might look into that then.
And stuff.
Yeah,
but it's like they're really neat, and I was impressed.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to like I can't really fault a whole lot of games that come with a bunch of expansions like Star Wars Imperial Assault. Like they would have to release like a big or Aeon's End, where it's like look, you're making it extremely difficult to store your stuff that I almost don't want to set up your game. But they don't give a fuck. They already got your money. You bought the game, so they're like, "Oh, I don't give a fuck if you play it or not."
So many cards. That one just funded. So,
oh, I know. And I mean, what I've done for games like that is I buy the wooden artist cases and then get the broken token.
That's what I'll eventually do.
And it's really nice. Like I like having that for for Marvel Legendary with the dividers that the guy makes, Richie something. He's awesome. And then Arkham Horror LCG.
I use it for Brimstone.
Yeah.
And then for Marvel Champions.
Yep. All right, so that's my number 3. Shitty inserts.
My number 3, I thought, and you may still talk about it. It's a publisher thing.
Okay.
And it's publishers not fully playtesting their games.
It is not on my list. That is a really good one, though.
And we've bumped into this. We've talked about this at different times on different lists. Most of this is Kickstarter stuff.
Yes,
majority of it, because stretch goals that they put out that don't get fully play tested and end up coming out like way over the curve power wise, way under the curve. They're broken one way or the other. And again, rushing it out. You brought up the whole where you get the stacks and stacks of stuff earlier. It's you do that, and it's just so much stuff, and then they don't get it fully tested like they do everything in the core box and stuff, because they've been working on that for a long time. And it doesn't happen as much in just like straight to retail games, but it does still.
Right.
It depends on how.
I think the biggest problem is they don't do blind play testing.
Right.
They're like they sit there and they explain to the players how things are supposed to work, and they're like, "Yeah, it worked really well." It's like, no, hand that to some random guy and just sit back. But they don't want to put in the effort.
Because I've done play testing for several companies over the time, and it's a time.
It's a pain in the ass.
Time.
I've done it like twice.
Right.
I hate it.
But it's like, but if you're putting out games so fast, like some of these companies that put out games so fast and stuff, it's like they can't. I mean, how are they play testing all this like that well?
Right.
You know.
I mean, they must have like dedicated teams or people who like really want to like have their name in the rule book as a playtester, and it's like, I don't have the time. Like I would love to be like, hey, Awakened Realms, I'll play. It's like I don't want to. I don't want to sit there and just because then I'll hate it by the time it comes, because it's like, wow, I played this 900 times to figure out if it's balanced or not. It is not for me, but it's definitely something that needs to happen. Otherwise, you just won't make any money.
But it's just really annoying.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one thing, dealing with this a little bit, Flying Frog with their Shadows of Brimstone. People throw such a fit about Shadows of Brimstone, their Kickstarters taking 2-3 years to fund.
Yeah.
Well, not fund, but
I'm like, wait, what?
But it's because, I mean, none of their stuff comes in overpowered. All their expansions come in right on the curve.
Right.
And that's because they play test the hell out
over
of it
and over and over.
Yeah. I would gladly wait the extra time to have a game that everything is cohesive.
I mean, it's the same example like with I think it was Miyamoto from Nintendo. He was talking about the delays on Breath of the Wild, and he was like, a delayed game will eventually be good, but a rush game will never be good. And that is absolutely true with board gaming too. It's like people are like, wow, it's delayed again, and it's like I'm still waiting on my BattleCon and Millennium Blade stuff, but they're like, hey, we're doing a lot of proofreading, a lot of playtesting with these factions, because they're completely revamping a lot of the characters to balance them in their new BattleCon format.
Right.
It's like, yeah, great. Like, I know I paid a lot of money, and I'd be more pissed if I paid a lot of money and I got it and it was bad.
Right.
It's like, I'll be more happy if the money I paid is justified. So,
well, that's what they said because Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, yeah.
I pre-ordered that, and that was supposed to come out in April.
Yeah.
And then it got pushed back to like October,
September,
October.
October.
And they're like, we have a few months. We want to brush up some stuff. And I'm like, glad, fine.
Yeah,
people are throwing a living fit. And the same thing with board games. I mean, if they want to take an extra 6 months to make the game perfect,
by all means. Like, I have there are other games to play.
Because what's going to happen is if you rush the game too, and we're sitting here playing a game, and we play something, and there's just one character that comes out, just throws his dick on the table, and it just blows everything up. It's like, well, fuck that guy. We're never going to play with him again, and then it becomes a wasted deal, So play test the stuff.
Yep.
That's the moral of that damn story.
All right, so my number 2. Okay, so my number 2 and my number 1 are about gamers. I'm just gonna go ahead and let you know. Which, of course, it's funny that I'm in a social hobby and I actually don't really like people.
You're gonna be talking about butt cracks, aren't you?
What? No. What? is ass. I just don't like ass. Is what I like to call elitist gamers. And these are the people that think that they are God's gift to the fucking hobby. That what they say, that their opinion matters so much that people should just fucking suck them off right now because they are just so wise in the ways of knowledge and board gaming. So there's a lot of elitist people online, and me running a YouTube channel, people really like to think that their shit don't stink, and that what they say is like they have to know my opinion. No one cares about your opinion. And a lot of it, you see it in groups on like Facebook, for example, where it's like, oh, hey, I'm really excited to play this game. We're setting up, I can't wait. And people just feel the need to come in and be like, that game is actually shit. You should throw it away. It's like, So clearly, you have no friends, and you're probably a solo gamer for that reason, because no one can stand to be around you because you just feel the need to spout your fucking ignorant, antagonistic viewpoints on someone who, even if you don't like the game, shut the fuck up. Like, it's not warranted. They didn't ask you about your opinion. Like, I get it if someone's like, hey, what do you guys think about this game? Fair game. Yeah, I don't like it. But, like, even then, just to be like, it's shit, don't buy it. It's like, okay, well, that's not constructive in any way. Like, if you have an opinion, be like, oh, well, it didn't work for me because boom, 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 boom. And that person might be like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't like those things either. But when it comes down to people who are like, if I was like, oh, yeah, I can't wait to play Talisman. I know, and it's like, oh, that game is fucking awful. It's like, yeah, to you, but you're a nobody. So how about you just shut the fuck up and quit being a keyboard warrior? So those kinds of people who, and I could go on, like the ones who just fucking just rave and like comment just shit that's not even constructive on any of my fucking videos. It's like, dude, like, I'm not 6 years old, so I'm not going to rebuttal about it. I'll delete it. And then I'll make fun of you in the next videos and hope you happen to watch that one. And one guy literally was making the same comment, and I was making fun of him. And then people, luckily, actually, were defending me, like, would comment on his and be like, clearly he didn't get the idea. Like, he has no, it's the same fucking comment. And eventually he quit posting. And yeah, so just elitist people in general, I have no interest in being around. They're the ones just who feel the need to just, God. And I used to be like that too, whenever I was, 14, and I was like, oh, I just love to argue online. And it's like, why? Never once in the history of any time have you and I ever had a difference, and me arguing with you made you be like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. No, right. No. The person already has to be open to changing their mind for you to be able to actually bring them to the other side. But if they're my different opinion, you arguing online does nothing. And It's those kinds of people, those actually fucking people that are just they're almost insufferable to be around, and I hate them. So that's my number 2.
There you go. My number 2 is I would call a crossover.
Okay.
It's a more specific crossover.
All right.
Of 20 years. It actually is focused on a single company.
Oh, okay.
And it deals with inserts.
Okay.
And it's
not
Fantasy Flight Game inserts. Is my number 2.
That is a good one. I forgot about them.
I have. Well, everybody. If
I haven't
you've been
bought
in
a
this hobby
Fantasy
for a
Flight
while,
game in so long.
right? But if you over the years,
yeah,
everybody's bought these, and it doesn't matter if it's Star Wars Rebellion, whose box is yay thick, or if you buy Netrunner, or if you buy the little boxes, they all have the shelf insert and the trench.
The trench,
with these little flaps that I don't know what they really do that pop up in the middle.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, why? You know, it's and that kind of goes with the whole box size too, because like Rebellion.
That's true.
There's
nothing in it.
Right.
They have the minis under the shelf.
Right. So, and that's what, you have to store little things under that shelf thing, and the cards kind of go in here, and dials and chits and whatever. But every game had that exact same setup.
Yeah.
Until Marvel Champions.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yes, but I got my complaints about that one too.
I bet I know what it is.
Because they went to the vacuform plastic
with the little speed bumps.
Deal with the speed bumps. Which, that's not even the issue. But they have no fucking dividers.
They have no dividers, and my copy, the cards don't fit in the little divots to slide it in. My cards are too short for the divider, so it just falls.
Well, right. I mean, mine didn't even have any dividers.
No, mine didn't have dividers, but they had the little sections,
where you put the dividers.
Yeah.
See, I didn't have anything to even put in that.
Yeah, I didn't have those either. I thought that's where the cards went.
No, well, I mean, the cards go, but then somebody online said they used the those hard sleeve top loaders that baseball cards.
Yeah,
you could slide those in, and they would stay.
But they wouldn't provide them. Because Fantasy Flight.
Well, no, they wouldn't. Right. So I used that to start with until I realized that box wasn't going to hold nearly what I needed.
It was as soon as I knew. I mean, it's a living card game. It's like, dude, just give us an empty box.
Right. But which makes it even more boggling, because people online are freaking out. They're like, "Oh, surely they're going to for price support at stores, they're going to give us dividers and stuff." And it's like, and if you still have this box at that time. Because you have to have moved on. So the one game that I can think, I'm sure there's probably another one or two that didn't have that stupid shelf trench thing was that one, and it had it didn't even have, it wasn't feasible.
It wasn't even and
it had no.
I will say it's definitely a lot better than their other LCGs, which came in the thin box. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Right. Right.
And I mean, Fantasy Flight is that's a good point. They're one of the worst ones when it comes to greedy marketing, because they're just like, this game is a very dice-heavy game. We'll give you one set. Here's a dice pack, and they do it with the inserts, so you have to go out of your way and buy something else, which is weird that they wouldn't offer, hey, here's a deluxe box, buy this.
Well, now, and this is going off on a little bit of a tangent to the deal, but the dice thing, because every game... because I bought an extra set for Mansions. I bought an extra set for Imperial Assault.
Yep, same here.
I want, still to this day, another set for Elder Sign.
Oh, yeah.
They never sold sets
weird.
of dice for a dice
game. Yeah.
For Elder Sign.
That is true.
I mean, I'm almost like, do I just find a super cheap-ass copy of Elder Sign and just buy it?
You might. And that's what they do, is like whenever they're like, hey, if you want, buy a second copy of Arkham to make it. That's the kind of the incorrect box information. But yeah, I completely forgot about Fantasy Flight, because I haven't bought a Fantasy Flight game in so long, which is weird, because they were a huge conglomerate.
Right. And then,
it's like, there's other companies.
With it being the whole, I call it shelf and trench. That's not trademarked, but it was just cardstock, really too. So it was just like,
it's super cheap. They have this lame ass design on it. Like, if there's a single person who doesn't open a Fantasy Flight game and throw that away immediately, they need help.
And I would keep them.
Really?
But I would do something different with them just to make them a little more feasible, because a lot of their games were card heavy. So what I started doing was I would turn them, like the shelf would become the trench, like if you refolded it.
Oh yeah.
And then the trench would the
middle would be like
up in the air, and then you'd have two things to put cards.
I don't do that. I throw them away immediately. I'm like, okay, well this is clearly trash.
Right.
I mean, I think they do it for box size because they can get away with and at least it's better than nothing while it's being shipped. I'll take that over nothing. But it's like they're one of the perfect examples of they have a lot of stuff and no means of storing it afterwards. It's just I mean, they're ideal, I guess, for Broken Token. So maybe they do it because they have stock in Broken Token. So they make shitty inserts because people will then have to buy Broken Token for their games. I think we're coming in on a conspiracy here. We're gonna get shot.
Yeah.
I just get shot.
This is gonna be like the screen will just go black.
Oh God, what happened?
But yeah,
that's a good one.
Just that it's always annoyed me. I mean, because they've been doing it since I got into the hobby. I mean,
yeah, they have not changed. They have not come with the times, and it's like,
but the one that cracked me up, I think the one that sent me over the edge was when I bought Rebellion. Because then I'm like, I wonder what the storage can be like this, because with all the ships and all that stuff, opened up and it's just a fucking
the shelf and trench, and it's just in a bag. All those ships in a bag underneath it.
But yeah, that's it. FFG inserts.
It's a good one. All right, my number one pet peeve in the hobby, and this is one because it's absolutely. We kind of talked about it. It's a slight crossover with your idea of rage quitting and tanking. You didn't. It has nothing to do with that, but you talked about it. And my number one is intentionally antagonistic gamers. This is the reason why I rage quit King's Dilemma. This is the reason why I actually took a break from certain people to play with, because and what I mean by this is people who intentionally target one person for no strategic reason, for whatever meta, and I almost put metagaming because that's kind of tied in. In my personal experience, it's because I have the board games, so they immediately think that I just have this leg up, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? We learned this game together. Like I read the rule. This was the first time reading the rules, so they think I'm already better. That I happen to win more games than not. So they're like, oh, let's target him so he doesn't win. And I've had this happen before, whenever you play with couples who are like, your relationship is so fucking fragile that any type of hostility will shatter your fucking whatever love or relationship you have. So it's like, well, I can't attack you, so I'm going to attack them. And it's like, but he's winning. I love him so much. Okay, well, have fun with your divorce in a year. And it makes me so mad because there's hypocrisy behind it, because the person that I'm thinking of right now that does it gets mad when it happens to him, and he gaslights people because he's just like, if I'm upset, when I'm like, why would you attack me? That has nothing, you gain nothing, and he's just like, oh, well, you're just overreacting. It's like, no, you can clearly see it's pissing me off. There's no reason. Like, if I'm winning or it's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense to attack me. I would do it. But to gaslight someone it's like, do you do that to other relationships you're in? Are you an abusive, person? Like, it makes me so mad. You mentioned it during your Game of Thrones one where they weren't attacked. They were all... Right. It's like, why would you do that to someone? You literally take any type of enjoyment. You actually make them hate you as a person, where it's like, okay, it's not even about a game. It's like, I don't want to be near you in general because you have some sort of weird fucking psychotic, pleasure out of pissing people off. That, oh God, this makes me so mad. I hate it. It's come to a point where, the few people that have done this, it's like, either if we are getting it, it's only cooperative, or there's no player versus player. I can handle player versus player. That has no problem with me. But whenever it's like if in a lot of 3-player games have this, so that's a fault of just a 3-player game. But it's like, if the entire time I just went after you, the entire game. Why? Oh, well, just because it's you. Oh, I know you play board games, so I guess I'm gonna get. You're like, that person's never a threat, but they're winning. This is why I actually didn't like Architects, because like, oh well, it's he just kept stealing my fucking people, and I'm like, well, Cat's winning. Oh, well, you have the most people there. It's like, but I'm not winning.
Another game that this happens a lot on is Cutthroat Caverns.
But that's the thing is like when that happens, it's like that's kind of the nature of the game in general. But it's like, I mean,
it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's player elimination.
Die first round.
True. That has happened, and actually, the last time that did happen,
because everybody just attacks you for. I mean, even though you're not even close to killing the monster,
right.
It's like we're supposed to work together to the point where we're almost.
It's like the point isn't to kill me immediately; it's to strategically do it to where you can get the last kill. Oh, but you didn't even get the kill, so okay, cool. You just killed me, and now I'm out of the game. So I absolutely this, and because it's so personal, because it always just happens to me. That it's like, just stay the fuck away from me. Like, you make me so mad. All of these other ones, I'll deal with, but to intentionally meta and go after someone, here's one of the worst ones, is whenever it's like, if you play the same game, let's say we're playing, I don't know, Rising Sun, for example, and you betray me, and a game we played a month ago, but we play Rising Sun again, and you fuck me over because, oh, you betrayed me. It's like, this is a different game. This is a different experience. Like, just because I did that last time doesn't mean I'm going to do it this time. But no, you hate me now, so you're going after me. It's like, okay, well, clearly I just have to always play different games with you because you're going to meta and fuck me over because I happen to win in a game that we've already played before.
Right.
That's my number one, intentionally antagonistic games.
All right. My number one, I'm a teacher, right? And when I teach, I want people to listen.
Mm-hmm.
So my number one is not listening as I'm teaching a game.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And then bitching and complaining when something happens and you're like, well, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, I fucking told you.
Yeah.
I even emphasized it.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it drives me crazy because, and my girls...
Mm-hmm.
We'll sit. I'm like sitting here. I'm teaching the game to everybody, and all of a sudden they start giggling. And I just sit there and stare at them.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to play or are you not?
Right.
I was like, I'm not, because I'm not going to
waste your time. Right. Yeah.
But I've went. We've played games over the last couple of years at different places where I've taught the game, and I know people are getting up, walking around, doing whatever, and I'm just like, they're gonna,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gets to a point, and I have one perfect person in particular I can point this out to that gets to the end of the game,
mm-hmm.
and then we score it out,
mm-hmm.
and then they lose all these points for this one thing that they didn't realize they had to do, and then they throw a rage fit because, well, I didn't know I was going to lose all those points for that. It's like, yeah.
And
everybody else is agreeing. They're like, yeah,
right.
You said it.
Yeah, everyone's like, well, we clearly all figured it out. So,
and then that game never hits the table anymore because, and it's like, you just have to pay attention.
That's a good one.
You know? I'm going to go old school 50s and have a ruler and just start smacking people if they're not listening.
I think it's like, I get it. There's a little bit of leeway, like, because there's some games with a lot of rules. You don't expect them. Like, in times with that, it's like sometimes it's not listening, but there's times where I'm like, okay, so here's phase one, so here's what you do in phase one. Okay, any questions? Nope. Right. Okay, phase two. Okay, any questions? Nope. And then, all right, let's start the game. So what do I do? What the fuck do you mean?
Right.
What do you do? Like, you clearly, it's like, it's not hard to listen. Mm-hmm. I have never once, and I'm mainly the one teaching the game, so whenever you're teaching me a game, I'm like, okay, just to clarify,
right.
So this, you spend this to do this. Yes. Okay, got it. And there's really never been a game that I've been taught where I'm just like, so what do I do on my turn? It's like, but people who just, clearly they're just zoned out the entire time. And even if it's not like a hard question where it's like, so what are my actions? Just even clarifying just shows that they're listening and paying attention to you. Whenever they just quiet the entire time, it's like, They didn't get it.
So what I've done to adjust for this, if the game will present that, is to do the whole practice round.
Yeah.
That way, they can physically see it. If they get distracted or whatever, and aren't paying attention, at least they're able to do stuff to try to keep their stuff. Dinosaur Island is a perfect example because it's the four different
phases. Yep.
But nothing pisses me off more in this hobby or in my damn classroom.
It's true.
than me specifically telling something. I know the little kid that was fucking around. And then there's the one that has their hand up. I don't know what to do.
Yep.
It's the exact same thing with certain board games.
Right. And what's funny is like that kid's gonna grow up to be that guy we're talking about right now whenever he's playing games.
Somewhere.
It's gonna be. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean that's a really good one. I probably could have put that one on here too, because it's just like
this was one of the ones I thought we'd cross over on just because you teach so many games. I didn't know if that would
I didn't even consider pet peeves of whenever I'm teaching, but that is absolutely one. And I mean one that kind of ties in whenever you're asking questions is sometimes people will ask like. Whenever you're teaching a game, and then like there's a lot, like let's say they have like 5 pieces, they're like, so what do these do? It's like, what? Why are you asking that? I was like, I haven't even got even. I'm like, I'm getting there. Like, it's like just wait. How about you ask questions on what I'm going over right now? Because now I have to feel like I have to jump to answer your question. Be like, oh, that's actually fucking right here. So now you know what that does, but now everyone else is confused because.
So now you know what you do. You have your laptop over there, kick Rodney up on the TV, and you just sit there and everybody watches.
I've done that. I've literally pulled out my video, and I'm like, let's watch this together because I'm not even going to waste my time.
Yep. But
then people will be on their phones. And it's like, okay, you know what? Let's not even try. Let's not even bother. Clearly, you don't give a shit.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my thing. It's just it's my work going into my hobby, and it just pisses me off.
My number one is one that's personal. I mean, I've experienced all of these except for the honorable mention, but that one was personal to me, so that's why I hate it the most. So, what are your pet peeves? Let us know in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.